Okay, guys, let's give this a second. There will be a bit of a delay, so you may see me looking around a little bit. Let me try to find the live feature here to send out the information. There should be a chat feature open if you have any questions. That's what a lot of this is going to be, um, just to see how it works out. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so there's one of you watching. Let's get the other people in here. Is anyone out there? Okay. Let's see. Okay, so we've sent this out to multiple people. Not sure if anyone is going to get going here or if anyone can hear me for that matter. Let's try multiple people. Not sure if anyone is going to get going here. That is good. Okay, so I've got one person watching. Not sure what else. There should be a chat feature in here. Yeah, Titus, it is very informative. Thank you. So what I want to do is go over some stuff. First of all, your FRQs and exams are graded, and we did insanely good for any exam. I'll try to keep my eye on the chat. You have any questions, any comments about how weird my house looks or dining room, feel free. But what I want to focus on is kind of strategies that I saw us do. Still missing the point with answering the question a little bit. Explain hows mean it. What I mean when I say that is we're doing a good job of telling what things are and identifying things, but we're not exactly explaining how this relates. So there was a question on the FRQs that went to like why is this informative or incorporation. You had to actually say the word incorporation or talk about how the states were forced to do it to get anything in there. And so that's one of the things that we really want to make sure that we go over. When you explain how, you have to restate the question. So I used this example in the other day. If the question is explain how my car works, okay? Explain how my car works. It's not enough, okay? So I've written the question I proposed here, okay? So explain how my car works is the question. It is not simply enough to say it drives, right? So you can't go, it drives. How my gosh darn car works, okay? That's what my car does. So if you find yourself doing this on the FRQ, you really need to focus in on explain how. Okay, so my car drives, okay? My car drives. Well, I'm going to surprise you because if I surprise you, I probably should shut up. Okay. It drives does not work. Bad answer. That does not explain how. My explain how would be my car drives because my engine powers my wheels to move. Notice how I've referenced back. I've completed that loop. I haven't just left the answer. I've done these things to make sure I complete the loop. So when you see and explain how, you must complete the loop, okay? Make sure you're completing the loop and explaining how things are going. All right. So that was the biggest thing is we're still not completely understanding the whole entire explain how. It's a simple correction. It's not something that's going to be insanely difficult to overcome or fix. You just got to know, I got to explain how whatever they're asking me works, and I've got to put the question back into my answer. You all are very, very good, very, very smart at identifying what's going on and what a term means. But we're not doing a great job of relating it back to the question or couching it in the question's parts. And again, if you guys have any questions, fire into Remind 101. Just text back to the number I text you guys all the time. And ask questions there. I'm watching the chat from time to time. Put a question in the chat, would be more than happy to answer it. If you don't know something, need tips on how to review anything like that, it would be important. So there's something I want to go over quickly other than kind of the explain how and the FRQ. I actually am getting a little bit worried about the court system question. Okay, so what I mean by that is this court system could very well appear on this, and you need to know the structure and how that flows. So I'm going to go over that, forgive me, while I talk about this. So first of all, to get a court case in front of the Supreme Court, you have to have the writ of certiorari. And 4 of the 9 justices have to accept the case, okay? So that's what we really need to pay attention to, is making sure we understand how this works, okay? So there's 94 district courts that are courts of original jurisdiction in the federal government. All right, sorry, I'm having to do this. So 94 district courts, and this flows. A lot of times we like to think about this as a pyramid, okay? So this is what we ideally look like. There's 1 Supreme Court, there's 13 courts of appeals, and there's 94 district courts. District has original jurisdiction. Appellate, or the Court of Appeals has appellate jurisdiction, gave that one away. SCOTUS is the only one with original and appellate, okay? But you need to be challenging something in the Constitution, okay? So it flows like this. You are very likely to get in front of a district court, okay? It flows from the bottom to the top, okay? So you have to start in a district court usually. Sometimes you click the Court of Appeals. So you see my nice little arrow. You go up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court still has to issue you a writ of certiorari. And that's something that is very important to understand about the writ of certiorari and understanding where we go from there. So once the writ is issued, the court can go ahead and ask for briefs, okay? So we apply for writ of certiorari, and then we get briefs with the legal argument from either side, okay? And in this legal argument, the sides have to present why the Constitution supports them. After getting the legal briefs, they move into this idea that you have an oral argument. So for an hour, the Supreme Court's going to listen to you. And only after reading the briefs and oral arguments do you get this idea of the court making a decision. The 9 justices sit down and vote. And the justices vote to determine who's won the case, which side. There's always 2 sides. They pick a side based off of the constitutionality of the case in front of them. So what we really are looking for is then the justices to vote. They keep that secret, and then they write an opinion. A majority opinion tells you why most of the justices voted the way they did. A dissenting opinion explains why the justices who didn't vote for the majority or with the majority voted the way they did. And they have to base it in legal arguments about the Constitution or about the previous cases they've heard. Basing a decision in other cases you've heard has a Latin term that I've done a really bad job of talking about, okay? And that term is Latin for stare decisis. And that's Latin for let the decision stand. Okay, so if we let the decision stand in stare decisis, is they are going to follow what they've previously said. So there's a terrible example of this in terms of what it meant for the country. There's a case called Plessy v. Ferguson. And this was 30 years after the Civil War. And Plessy v. Ferguson determined that states underneath the 14th Amendment, right, had to give you your rights, but could do so in a separate but equal way, okay? So that's the significant part of Plessy, is Plessy v. Ferguson says, separate but equal, the states have determined this. Plessy v. Ferguson, the separate but equal concept is the law of the land. States, you determine how best to give your rights in a separate but equal. So that happens in 1896, I want to say the court case was. I don't have it off the top of my head. And stare decisis would say, okay, well, the Supreme Court's decided this once. They shouldn't, in theory, go back and deal with it. But they saw a problem. They saw that segregation was actually hurting things. So in a case called, excuse me while I get a different marker, in a case called Brown versus Board, they go, you know what, our stare decisis is no longer valid. The court decision was bad. Underneath the 14th Amendment, segregation is gone, and students have a right to an equal education. Okay, yes, I just said education very wrong. I'm sure that's already being put on a sound loop by somebody. So Brown versus Board ends segregation. Plessy v. Ferguson started it. Okay, and so the court then has to deal with not only the Constitution, but a high number of previous court cases where they go, okay, what have we decided before? Now, that's not a problem if you're just starting out, but it becomes a huge problem if you continue to do all these court cases over a period of hundreds and hundreds of years. Okay. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to fire them in. I know all 4 of you currently watching are really enjoying this riveting review session. But any questions, ask. You got me live. I can explain it to you on a whiteboard as I speak to you this very second. The other thing I want to talk about is the lawmaking process, and we're going to go over this again real heavy in class tomorrow. Okay, the lawmaking process is pretty simple. Okay, so if you give me a second here and listen to me while I talk, while I draw. Excuse me for my awesome drawing skills. Why are only 4 of you watching? I'm a little offended by this. Should I send out an angry text message? Let's take a vote. Let me try this. Let's try this card shenanigans. Add a card. No, I don't want to promote another channel. Poll. Create. Poll question. Should I send a reminder? Okay, so if this works right, hopefully this just got, oh, I got rejected. All right, let's try this. This is riveting television, guys. I should really be giving my own TV show and stuff. Riveting. Okay, hopefully a poll just popped up right in front of you. Let's see. Will the poll work? Yes, Titus. Why, yes, I can go into bureaucracy. Hopefully everybody's answering my poll question. Boy, I'm on a delay and I see what myself looks like after a while and it gets a little crazy. Yeah, let's go over bureaucracy. Good point, Titus. Good man. All right. So the bureaucracy. So there's a few different ways this works. Okay. First of all, the bureaucracy is part of the executive branch. So that means the president is technically over the entire thing. But the bureaucracy has a ton of employees. With military, it's about 4 million employees. Without military, it's about 2.8 million employees. So 2.8 million people work for the national government and are theoretically supervised by people either appointed by the president or directly reporting to the president. So this is everything from NASA, right, to Department of Agriculture and the Secretary of Agriculture, okay, to the CIA, to the Tennessee Valley Authority, right, TVA based here in Knoxville. They have a big, beautiful building downtown, okay. Yeah, stare decisis. Yeah, I think that's Zoe, but you have a different last name. So, yeah, Zoe, I'll go over that just in a second. Let me cover bureaucracy, but I love that. We'll go over stare decisis here in a minute because it is an important concept, and I know you guys have been getting multiple choice questions on it. So all of these organizations, and these are just an example. So this is a cabinet department. This is a corporate. Oh, I should write in a different color. That doesn't make sense. These are all different organizations. So this one is independent, so I'll draw an I there. I hope you can see this. Let me pull up. Okay, great. This is a cabinet department, meaning it has a secretary that meets in the president's cabinet. This is a independent agency, and this is a corporation. I'm leaving one off, and the one off is, let's say do it in a different color, EGERT. The one is, let's say, the FCC, and that's a commission, okay? And so all of these are working together in the bureaucracy. These are just, again, examples. Let me see if I move more over here and up. Okay, so these are all the examples I have for tonight on these different issues. What you need to know about the bureaucracy is that the biggest thing is there's a bureaucratic decision making, okay? Congress has the power of oversight over the bureaucracy. The president is hiring and firing these people to a large extent, okay? But again, merit system makes it so that he really can't appoint everybody and their mother. Oh, okay, yeah, well, that explains it. I see the chat and I get so distracted. So anyway, so the bureaucracy, the president's over, and so he can check them by, nah, I don't like you, I'm going to fire you. Or ask for your resignation or whatever you want to call it. Congress has a bit of a different thing. Congress has two ways to affect the bureaucracy. Okay, I'm going to draw the scariest symbol in AP government, the dreaded triangle. Okay, so bureaucracy, if you remember, bureaucracy is one of our corners, and committees or Congress or whatever, I'm going to put Con Committee. That sounds like a sweet, sweet band name, Con Committee. They sound like they're a bunch of 20-year-olds that love their AP government teacher. Okay, so this is the iron triangle, if you will. Okay, so what the congressional committee can do here to the bureaucracy is funding. Remember that power of the purse is paramount. Oh, that sounds like a rap. Congressional committee can give funding, and they can have oversight. Okay. What does oversight mean exactly? Well, oversight means that they can have hearings, they can have subpoena power, they can call any federal employee really to testify in front of them. Actually, they can call anyone to testify in front of them. They can call any federal employee, ooh, we're up to 7 viewers. They can call federal employees up to testify to ask questions like, hey, why did you make this decision? Okay, so while the bureaucracy has this bureaucratic discretion, okay, and maybe on this bottom line is maybe if we say favorable discretion, right, flowing to the IG, whoever came up with the iron triangle is a jerk. Okay, so favorable discretion flowing to the IG from the bureaucracy, Congress is going to watch over that. And what is the IG giving them? Well, remember, that's electoral support. Sweet, sweet, sweet money cash. All right, electoral support. This is some of my finest performance work ever. Okay, so they give electoral support from the interest group to Congress. Congress gives funds. Stop buffering. And I'm back. All right, let's see how long this takes. Don't you leave me, you 7 viewers. Oh God, this is terrible. None of you are allowed to speak about this ever again. Well, look, Juan's here, everybody. Say hello to Juan, everybody. Hi, Juan. Okay, so what we're doing here is discussing the bureaucratic agencies. So again, this electoral support. So they don't want oversight, okay? So Congress can use that, the Congressional Committee can use that as a weapon against the bureaucracy if they're not making favorable decisions to the interest group or to Congress, okay? And IG is giving them support in exchange for friendly laws and nice oversight. So I hope that makes some sense there. Bureaucratic discretion, remember that thing is huge. So let's talk about that. I thought of another example, okay? So let's say NASA goes, hey, Congress, we need a sweet amount of money, okay? We need that sweet, sweet, sweet cash. Yeah, Juan's everybody's guy. Juan's everybody's guy. NASA asked for, let's say $300 billion, okay? So NASA goes, hey, federal government, we need $300 billion. We need new rockets, okay? So for those rockets, we would really like $100 billion of our $3 billion, okay? So NASA sits there and goes, "Hey, Congress, we need this 300 billion. 100 of the 300 billion will go to rockets." Okay, and Congress gives NASA that money. But here's where the bureaucratic discretion comes in. NASA turns around and hires a rocket scientist. Oh, I should go stick figure here. Okay, rocket scientist gets hired by NASA. Okay, so rocket scientist doesn't sit there and need to run the design of his rocket by Congress, right? Okay, he doesn't need to do that at all. What he needs to do is just simply do his job and design the rocket. Okay, so then they have to go to a company that makes fuel, so an oil company. Okay, so they go to this oil company and say, "Hey, we're gonna make a rocket. We need this amount of fuel. It's gonna be crazy fun times." Okay, so we need to go over that for sure, in that the company is going to provide fuel. So again, all Congress has done is given this. The rocket scientist has used his bureaucratic discretion on figuring out what the rocket should look like, how far it should supply. To a certain extent, NASA's used bureaucratic discretion to figure out, hey, we need rocket fuel. Which company will get this? They'll put a bid out there and say, hey, who can sell us $1 billion worth of rocket fuel? All right, because everybody needs $1 billion worth of rocket fuel. And Congress then can go, wait. Why did you choose Texaco over, I don't know, Chevron? Why did you make that decision? I actually think they're the same company now that I think about it, but never mind that. And then Congress can go, hey, NASA, gosh darn it, come in here and let me explain to you, or you're going to explain to us, why did you choose Texaco over Chevron? We like Chevron better. Chevron would have been the better deal. So NASA's chief is going to have to go talk about that. Okay, so that's bureaucracy. That's bureaucratic decision making. Always use IRS as an example. So let me get to Zoe's thing. Zoe wants to talk about stare decisis. Okay, so what is stare decisis, or what's an example of that? So, example of stare decisis, because I'm a cheater and I use the interweb sometimes because I need to think of a better example. So we call stare decisis by an English name as well as its sweet Latin name. Yes, Juan, it is let the decision stand. Boy, am I proud. My boy. You're my boy, Juan. Okay, so yeah, it does mean let the decision stand in Latin. It also means precedent. Okay, so essentially, just like you guys can't contradict yourself in the FRQs, the Supreme Court can't violate its own decisions from the past. And that's what stare decisis means. Let it stand, let the decision stand, keep the same decision, whatever you want to go. We call that precedent. I'm going to write this down. It's that freaking important, okay? So precedent is equal to, and I know I'm spelling it wrong. You kids can judge me all freaking day. Okay, did I spell it? Hold on, wait. Oh, well, why does it, whatever. Okay, so this is precedent equals stare decisis. They're the same thing. This is again YouTube. YouTube's letting me talk right now. This is AP Gov using different terminology. Okay, so precedent and stare decisis mean the exact same thing. Don't let it confuse you. I think this whiteboard thing is going to stay with me. I think I'm just going to start carrying this around on a regular basis. Camera work's my really not strong suit. Okay. All right. So that's what stare decisis means. I have a request from Miss Jordan to explain 14th Amendment. Okay. Let's jump into 14th Amendment. This is crucial. AP keeps talking about it. So let us talk about it and keep these questions coming firing away. I am an expert. Hadley says I shouldn't send angry texts. She says at least she's watching. Well, Hadley, there's a chat feature that you could use. Angry texts are fun, though. Where's the card? Hey, wait. Are you guys voting on this? How do I get rid of it? Gosh darn it. Well, but I thought... Okay, but the poll's up there, but when do I put it in? I saved it, though. Are you guys voting in the poll? Is this happening? All right. Anyway, 14th Amendment. Okay, so sweet number 14. We have to understand the context of the 14th Amendment, first of all. 14th Amendment, there was an immediate fear, okay? And actually, let's go back. Let's go back to the 13th Amendment. I should really, should I can't do that right now. Okay, so if we look just chronologically, because you all know your amendments, and if I just say a number 1 through 27, you can tell me that. 13th gets rid of slavery, abolishes slavery. Okay? Slavery goes bye-bye with the 13th. Okay? So after the Civil War, this becomes pretty important. Okay? The 13th Amendment abolishes slavery. Okay? But the fear became, okay, we got rid of slavery, but what in the world is going to make the states? Because remember, the South's argument was they're not people, they're property. So what is going to make the South and the states that were pro-slavery give rights to the newly freed slaves? So they create the 14th Amendment in response to this slavery, okay? So the 14th Amendment pops up. And what the 14th Amendment does is three things. It first gives citizenship. Now, this is not often asked about, but it says, newly freed slaves, no matter condition of former servitude, are citizens. And by creating that definition of former slaves are citizens, then we have this issue of, okay, they can't go over it. Yeah, I'll go into the cases in just 1 second. I get where you're coming from there. And so then we get the due process. So it says, all right, states, if you're going to take life, liberty, or property from anyone in your state, you must give them a trial. Okay? And then the Equal Protection Clause. So the 14th gives you three things. All right? Three things. Citizenship, due process, and equal protection. I'm going to do, I look like a cartoon character right now where I'm like, 14, citizenship. Somebody screen cap this right now and just know you're already in trouble. So, citizenship, due process, equal protection. Three big things the 14th does. Okay, so we would all then assume, oh, okay, well, they read the 14th Amendment, so surely the South just went ahead and said, you know what, we were wrong. We're going to treat the newly freed slaves equally. And there's no court cases, actually. No, I'm lying. There's tons of court cases. Okay, so we see different types of court cases. The first one I want to talk about a little bit is a case called Gitlow. Okay, and Gitlow versus New York. Now, I'm going to pull up my notes on Gitlow. Forgive me. Yes, I am totally cheating. Okay, so Gitlow versus New York. Gitlow sounds like a hot new rapper. There's my dog, Wrigley. That's awkward. She is informing my neighbors that stepping on her property is not allowed. Okay. No voting, blah, blah, blah. Due process is basically a bill of attainder. Ooh. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. But let me get into that really quickly, Zoe. Zoe in the chat asked a fantastic question. Is due process basically a bill of attainder? No. And let me explain what I mean by that. The Constitution says there shall be no bill of attainder. Okay? It's saying a bill of attainder is technically a bill or law that punishes someone through law. It says, Jonathan Eager is just terrible, send him to jail. Okay? That's a bill of attainder. The Constitution in its articles, the original Constitution, remember that FRQ? That was fun. The original Constitution says, hey, no, none of that. Your laws have to apply equally to people. So no bills of attainder. So due process, yes, guarantees that a state or the national government can't take action against you without a trial. So that's the difference between due process and bill of attainder. It's very smart to connect them, but saying due process is basically bill of attainder is a double negative. It cancels each other out. It doesn't make sense. Because due process is your right to trial. A bill of attainder is saying a law that's not going to give you a trial. Okay? The Constitution says there are no bills of attainder. And I know that's a small thing, but as you guys have kind of caught on in FRQs, it's important that we are specific. Yeah, due process is much closer to habeas corpus. Habeas corpus is simply you have to be there for the court proceeding. That if they're holding you, so it's two things. You have to be there for the court proceeding, and if they're holding you, they have to keep you. They have to allow you to go to court. They can't be like, Jonathan's crazy, so we're gonna keep him in a jail cell and never let him out to go to trial. Due process says you have a right to a trial. So yes, due process and habeas are much closer related. I can't interlock my fingers for some reason. There we go. Life is fun again. All right, so let me get back to 14th Amendment cases. That was very good connection, Zoe. That's next level thinking. Yeah, keep that up. Okay, so Gitlow versus New York. So New York, on the basis of it, New York got rid of Mr. Gitlow's, let me find his real name here in my notes. Ben Gitlow, Benjamin Gitlow, okay? He was an anarchist, so Mr. Gitlow did not like any form of government. And New York had a statute that pretty much said, you can't advocate the overthrow of the government. Gitlow said, okay, yeah, but I'm not saying violently. I'm saying peacefully you should overthrow the government. And New York said, well, listen, we have a law against that. And Gitlow goes, wait, I have a First Amendment right to free speech. So essentially, the arguments in Gitlow, and let me use a different color because I think that'll be a little bit, is Gitlow was saying, I have a First Amendment right. And New York was saying, yeah, but you're going to be violent. You're inciting violence. Okay, and inside your First Amendment, you can't incite violence. That's a limitation on your right of free speech. So if I said, I don't like the government. Oh God, this is being broadcast on the internet. Let's figure out another example. Let's say I don't like chocolate ice cream. And I say, you should never eat chocolate ice cream. Okay, that's free speech. You don't have a problem with that. If I then said, you should break into every ice cream store in America and burn it if it has chocolate ice cream. Well, that's inciting violence, and that's a threat, and that's no longer protected speech. So these are the arguments we're going to see, okay? Gitlow's going to say, yeah, I've got a First Amendment right to say the government should be overthrown, anarchy, anarchy, anarchy. New York is saying, no, you're trying to incite violence, okay? So the Supreme Court has to deal with this case, and it finds through the 14th Amendment that New York's law saying that you can't advocate for the overthrowing of government is not valid because the 14th Amendment, okay, makes the Bill of Rights, and we know the First Amendment is the biggest, most important part of the Bill of Rights. It gives us so many rights. The First Amendment in the Bill of Rights and the First Amendment in the Constitution says freedom of speech. New York, you have violated Mr. Gitlow's free speech rights, and just because you're a state government does not absolve you from his right to have free speech. New York, you're wrong. Mr. Gitlow, you win. So to try kind of draw. So this is how the court case went in emojis or smiley faces, whatever you want to call it. Maybe you're old school like me. Smiley faces emoji. New York loses, Gitlow wins. Gitlow's First Amendment right was incorporated through the 14th Amendment. Now, let me blow your mind a little bit more. Okay, Brown versus Board is a 14th Amendment case. Okay, what the 14th Amendment there is arguing is equal protection, where Brown, the student, said the Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas, has violated my equal protection. So that's very, very clear. And so that one comes from there. We also have the affirmative action cases that deal with different things. Affirmative action, really quickly, is the idea that that schools, specifically state universities, the school that keeps getting themselves in trouble with this is this school. They always get themselves in trouble. This is called Michigan, the University of Michigan. They are a state school. They have Michigan in their title. They are not the United States of America University. They are Michigan University or University of Michigan, whatever. Ask Miss Boland what their name is. I don't know. Okay, and they say, okay, the University of Michigan's admission process said, well, you know what? We're going to have race quotas, okay? And the race quota system, now I shouldn't just, let's be clear, California did this too, okay? That's Cal versus Bach. But what these two schools, whoa, I don't know if I just had a power outage or what. That was crazy. My computer went completely black. I bet I hit an options key or something. Okay, so what Michigan and the University of California did in the affirmative action cases is they said, all right, white, black, Asian, male, female. Okay, all right, whoop. They created essentially boxes, and they said, okay, University of California Regents versus Bach, they did this. They said, all right, so we want to get, let's say, okay, let me stop blaming Michigan for all of our problems. Let me switch this to Cal to be more historically accurate. They were the first ones up in the Supreme Court. So Cal, okay, says we have this many white people we want, this many black people, this many Asian people, this many males, these many females, okay? So let's say they were like, we're going to let 1,500 kids in. This is going to be easy math for me. So 500 will be white, 600 will be black. Oh, I already ran myself into a problem. 400 will be Asian, 750 will be male, and 750 will be female. So the University of California actually did this. They said, hey, we're going to go ahead and we're going to admit, whatever. So if you're white student number 501, sorry, you're not getting into the University of California. Bach was a medical student, and they ran this for their medical program. And he said, wait, that's not fair. That's not equal protection under the laws. You can't discriminate against me just because I'm white. And the Supreme Court said, yeah, that's called a quota system. You set a number, and you say, we got to reach it, okay? By the way, my brother's calling. He's going to have to wait. You guys are more important. Okay, so what's going to happen here is he's going to figure out how to watch this and give me heck later on. The University of California couldn't use this quota system in their admissions. They couldn't say this many number of black students, this many number of white students, this number of Asian students, this many males, this many females. That's unconstitutional. That's a violation of equal protection, okay? And so the University of California goes, oh, gosh darn it. Okay, we'll stop. Then the University of Michigan goes, wait a minute. What if we create a point system, okay? And so what if to get into the University of Michigan, there's 100 possible points, and to get in, you need 80 out of 100, okay? And we'll give you like 10 points for a 3.0 or above, 20 points for a 4.0. Okay, but wait, what if we give you 30 points if you're Asian? Okay, so it's this point system. And from the 1970s, when the University of California lost Bach, until 2003, this was what ruled college admissions, is where they say, okay, we're going to give you points based off of your race and ethnicity, okay, to make sure we're letting in minority students. And that became a problem. So the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause came in here and said, that's not equal protection. You're still deciding admissions based on race, okay? Oh, man, I just said okay and I read the Jordan thing. Ugh. Juan, I can still read this. Basically, yeah. Yeah, Juan, I can still read your stuff. Oh, God. Jordan, I do say okay a lot. So, the University of Michigan loses. That's not okay. So, no quota system in race determinations for college admission, even though colleges are distinctly state enterprises and all that good stuff. So, no race admission. Okay, 15 minutes. Any more questions? I've talked for a long time. I want to hear what you need to know. Yeah, you should be. Sorry, Juan. You should be. Okay, I want to hear what you want to know. So I'm going to sit here and just wait for a question. I don't care if I have to wait 15 minutes. Gosh darn it, Titus. What am I going to do? Oh, I can put you in a timeout? Woo! Timeout. Woo! Titus is timed out for 300 seconds. That's fun. I just put somebody in a timeout. Sweet. Anybody else? Any questions? I feel like Titus isn't going to answer questions now when he comes back. Wait, can I put... Oh, Juan. Juan, I think you need a timeout. Juan, do you want a timeout? Can I... What if I just hit... Report, move... I don't want to block. Go to channel? No, I don't want to see what you kids are watching. Oh, let's try timeout too. Bye, Juan. Nah, timeout. Roe v. Wade. Fantastic. All right, Jordan. Oh. Jordan asked about Roe v. Wade, and that is a fantastic case to go over. Jordan, were you meaning in terms of 14th Amendment, or were you just saying, I don't know what the heck Roe v. Wade is, I need a decision? So, Roe v. Wade you can't talk about without another court case. This is where stare decisis comes in to play, okay? So, Roe v. Wade and this case, Griswold versus Connecticut, are very, very important. Griswold versus Connecticut establishes privacy, okay? It says a man and woman were trying to determine if they would have a baby. They were going to use newly invented forms of birth control, specifically the pill that doesn't cause pregnancy in women. So it said, hey, Connecticut, you made this law. Whoa, that's trippy. You made this law about essentially what couples can do in determining to have a child. That violated the couple's privacy. The state should have no business telling people when to have children. So Roe v. Wade wanders around, and it's actually a case against Texas. Texas had a law banning abortions, okay? And Roe v. Wade said, okay, we're going to extend this right to privacy, right? Griswold versus Connecticut found there is privacy in terms of contraceptives. We're going to decide there's privacy between... Oh, what's the shorthand you kids use for between? Go into the chat. Go into the chat. Go into the chat. Zoe, I just answered that one. Okay, all right. So, privacy between... No, that's not a clever shorthand. So there's privacy between a woman and her doctor. Patient and doctor. There's a privacy between a woman and her doctor to determine what to do about her pregnancy. Okay, so Texas's law, much like Connecticut's, violated this principle of privacy. And this is stare decisis. The court looked and said, hey, in Griswold versus Connecticut, we found this right to privacy in terms of the pill. And now we have this case, Roe v. Wade, where Texas has banned abortions. Doesn't that same right to privacy to determine when to have children apply here? Okay, let's use our previous decision, bring it over here, and establish it. Now, there is no specific call for a right to privacy in the Constitution. There's none. It doesn't exist. Okay? So, we can find it a little bit in the Fourth Amendment. I know somebody's probably typing in right now, but Fourth Amendment, you're right, right to privacy is interpreted to be there. We interpret the Fourth Amendment to give us a right to privacy, at least the courts do. But this is really setting us up for the interesting thing. So that's Roe v. Wade. You can't have Roe v. Wade without Griswold versus Connecticut. Okay? Griswold is the first one to establish a right to privacy exists, especially between a married couple determining when they're going to have children. The court then takes that decision in Griswold and says, but what happened here with Miss Roe is she decided when she wants to have children. Why is the state stopping her from having an abortion? That's a decision not between her and her husband, but between her and her doctor. Okay? to determine that. Oh, yeah, that is the between thing. Good job. Okay, president powers. Good. Zoe wants to go over presidential powers versus congressional powers. Are the boys out of their timeouts yet? Have they been released from their timeouts? Boys, Titus, Juan, I put you in 300-second timeouts. I'm sorry. Yep, nope, I got you, Zoe. Okay, I can hit all those really quickly. So the president, let's start with their big powers, okay? I'm going to have to do this 2 different ways. Let's get 2 different colors going, all right? Congress. I'll go over this in class tomorrow as well. It's already on my review slides. So if you don't get it now, come to class tomorrow. Okay, the president's big power. His biggest power is commander-in-chief. 8 minutes. Okay, fine. 8 minutes. Okay, commander-in-chief. Congress's big power is power of the purse. Okay? So, we have those 2 things. These are the biggest. These are the most huge for each branch. Commander-in-chief, power of the purse. Okay? President, Congress. Okay. So then let's talk about the president's next big power. And let's talk about all the presidential powers, and then we'll talk about how they interact really quickly. President can veto. All right, sweet. President can veto. Let's get rid of things. President can make appointments. Executive orders. And agreements. Remember, agreement is something between him and another country, and let's say negotiate treaties. Okay, I want to say neg treaties. Okay, so these are the major powers of the president. Yes, there are more. I fully agree. So, commander-in-chief, veto, appointments, executive orders, and negotiate treaties. Okay, that's what the president can do. Here's what Congress can do. Power of the purse. They can have hearings. A lot of you love the impeachment stuff, so I'll put that. That's fun. Impeachment. But remember, impeachment doesn't get rid of them, so I'm going to put impeachment/removal. Okay? They can approve appointees. That's just the Senate, though. Approve appointees. And... Wrigley. Approve treaties. Gosh darn dog. Okay, approve treaties. Yep. Anything else? Oh, and they can override vetoes. 2/3 of Congress. Okay, so this is the big thing. I know you're all screen capping this like crazy. Yeah. Now we're gonna go over this tomorrow. I'm gonna put it up on a PowerPoint slide. You're gonna have the note right there in front of you. Okay, so power of the purse, hearings. Okay, if they don't like something the president's doing, they can call his staff in. They can call his top advisors and be like, hey, what were you guys doing? They can't call the president. That's another deal. Impeachment/removal from office. Approve appointees. So do you see how they're checking each other? They can approve treaties. Even though this guy worked on them, right? Essentially, he can go do his homework and then Congress can come in and tear it up. Then they can override his veto with 2/3 of Congress. Don't forget, Congress also has commerce power. But that's a lot more about Congress controlling the states than it is about Congress controlling the president. Okay? That commerce power is more of an interaction of how can Congress's laws tell the states what to do. And its commerce power is contained in the Constitution. Okay? Yes, I will show the dog later. Amicus curiae briefs. Any other questions? Zoe, did I get that? Let me know. Amicus curiae briefs. Okay, amicus curiae, Latin for friend of the court. So let's say, oh gosh, who's a friend of mine? Let's just use Miss Boland. Let's say Miss Boland runs Walmart, and Walmart, create hypotheticals this late at night. Let's talk about amicus curiae without an example for a second. I'm just not that creative after coding so much today. Amicus curiae is a brief to the court that gives them other information they may not have. So if they're dealing with a case that involves, let's go back to NASA, that involves space flight, and the Supreme Court has to deal with that. They may say, hey, NASA, can you send us what you think about this case? And they'll essentially think it over, okay? So essentially, amicus curiae briefs are giving advice to the court and letting the court know, hey, court, I'm an education specialist, teacher, otherwise known as. I have these certain skills and beliefs and abilities to tell you how students and schools interact. So if you have a case dealing with, students' rights, I'll file an amicus curiae brief and tell you what I know. So for example, let's say one of your constitutional rights are violated, and inside school, and you sue Knox County Schools. So to be, Zoe, I'm going to use you. It's going to be Zoe Poorman versus Knox County Schools, okay? That's the court case. I may say, hey, I've got some information here. Here's an amicus curiae brief. The National Education Association, which represents teachers, would maybe then say, and the dog's walking over to me, almost on cue, like she's like, hey, you've been talking for an hour, let the children go. The court may say, hey, or the National Education Association may say, hey, we represent almost all the teachers in the country. This is what we think. The National Principals Association may say, hey, we have this opinion. The ACLU, which represents American civil liberties and watches over your rights, may say, hey, we have this opinion on Zoe Poorman versus Knox County. And they all can file amicus curiae briefs. Notice none of those people were named Zoe or Knox County Schools. They have to file briefs. These people don't have to. They can give it to the court without the court asking, or the court can say, hey, we as judges may not know much about education. Can you submit an amicus curiae brief explaining your opinion on this case? And the court can ask for other people's opinions on different court cases. All right, should we take a look at the dog now? All right, since our hour is almost up, I'll go ahead and show. Yep, all right, yep, there you are. Yep, there you are. Look, all the children can see you. Hi, say hello to the kids. Yes, hello, Wrigley. Say hello, my name is Wrigley. I'm a treat monster. Are you a treat monster? Yeah, you're a treat monster. Okay, my name is Wrigley. I'm a treat monster. And I really want him to go play with me now because I am bored. So, we'll end the review here. I'll post a video probably, edit it. The dog got shown, Juan. I know you're just back from timeout. But that'll be it. I'll try to keep it to an hour. I'm probably going to edit this sucker down, especially the first 5 minutes where I'm trying to find things. Real quickly, was this helpful? Anybody helpful? Not helpful? Wrigley. I'm trying to get off of the kids here, but helpful, not helpful? You have a chat feature. You can tell me. Helpful, not helpful. Helpful, not helpful. Was this helpful? Not helpful? Helpful, not helpful? Should I do it again? Should I never do it again? Thanks, Juan. I have no earthly idea what you said, but I appreciate it, buddy. Please don't write was on the test. That'd be bad. Yeah, Riggs, I get it. Did I scare Titus off, by the way? Helpful? Okay, thank you. John Bradley's been sending me things. Yes, helpful, great. I will do this tomorrow night. I'll go as long as you guys have questions. I'll put a limit of 9:30 on it, but I'll start at 8 o'clock. So an hour and a half tomorrow night. We'll go over everything. We're going over the entire class in class tomorrow, from Unit 1 to up to here. Hopefully you'll have more questions. Remember, our review session, 4 to 5 p.m. After school tomorrow. Make sure you're there, okay? Any questions, my email, hit it, Remind101, send it. I don't mind. I will get back to you as soon as humanly possible. Okay, we're going to stop the stream now, and that's that. Thanks, everybody. I don't know how to...